In our next story, we meet a couple who has turned foraging into a culinary art and business. It's a big task, but they show how nutritious and delicious wild food can be.
But those are scarlet monkey flowers, which are also edible.
People eating wild foods goes back to well before there was Homo sapiens. I mean, that goes way back.
In this area. Well, no, foraging is basically getting in touch with nature and sourcing your own food. It's a lifestyle. Okay, so here is some fresh mugwort, sort of. When I grew up in Belgium, my grandmother used to tell me to go get, for example, stinging nettle to make some soup. So I learned a little bit already about foraging. So I started munching on plants, and I guess I never stopped. Mugwort. That's what you use. It's a remedy for poison oak, although again, you're supposed to do it beforehand.
In terms of how people figured out what was edible, partly it's trial and error, partly it's observing what animals are eating and trying that.
Every week I will learn a new plant, I will label it, come back the next day, take a look at it, take some of it home, cook it, play with it, see what I can do. Sometimes you even feel like the plant talks to you, and I'm not kidding. You pass by some plant, you get this sudden urge to actually investigate that plant.
People need to be very careful about what they harvest in what locations because the native environment has really been severely disrupted in California. The native flora has been really persecuted by pavement, introduced animals, introduced weeds. People have to be really careful that they've identified the plant they're harvesting correctly because some plants are actually poisonous and easily confused with one another, or you might have an allergic reaction. You could just be sensitive to it, although it's not technically toxic.
A very interesting green, kind of a tan green, and then you have those beautiful little flowers right there. You find that all over California. Just don't smoke it. I guess somebody can have an allergy. It's a new food. I always tell people when they come to wild food to try a little bit, not
But I honestly, we've been doing this, I have not heard one.
No, hundreds of people, thousands of people on my side, and one person had a little bit of a reaction on a wild radish, and to be honest, that person didn't look healthy to start with. This is a perfect plant to eat raw too.
I think the best way to describe us is food geeks. I mean, we can talk about, I don't know, one dish or ingredient for days and hours, and we don't watch television, and we don't really go see movies. So this is our entertainment. All right.
And everybody has water. Ready?
Well, we get there, we unpack, and we greet everybody who comes, and then they don't see any of the setup. They just see a picnic table and some coolers, and I'm sure they're thinking, oh, great, park picnic. And then they leave with Pascal, and I need him to be gone for an hour. So he takes them on a really informative foraging hike, and usually, they get so caught up in it, and I'm always like, be on time. So I'm fighting the clock because I don't have stoves or ovens. I have propane burners, torches. I get creative with the steamer. So we want to cut this. This is a soft jerky that was basically cured in sugar. So I'll finish cooking and then garnish, and plate for 20 to 30 people. So they get back and it's set up and ready for them to taste. And then usually people always say, how long is this thing going to take? But by the end, we're kicking them out of the park and it's getting dark, and they love the experience of sitting there, having a cocktail and some food, and it really does feel like a lounge experience, but in nature. potatoes with a little bit of sage butter, and underneath that is a quick cabbage pickle, and the flowers you see on top are just some wild radish flowers. People eat with their eyes, and people meet around a table, and it's an easier foray to introduce people to foraging when it's a social gourmet experience that they walk away and really enjoy. Then they're going to remember the plant, they're going to remember that foraging is a resource, and it's going to be more friendly.
Is that the sage butter?
I make a little ball. I put the little ball in my forefinger. There we go. When you open your mind to opportunity and you're ready for it, we've been busy every minute of the day and night, and we've just been meeting with people who want to meet with us, networking with people, and you never know.
Yeah, we also talking to different restaurants and stuff too that may be interested, you know, because we've been doing that for so long that we have a lot of knowledge. You can see that like the love that goes into the food, you know, where we can provide that, and yes, it can be expensive, but if you take a look at the amount of work that goes behind it, I mean, some of those preserves that we have takes months to put together.
I know personally this has been a labor of love for us because we put our savings into making this work. It costs money to produce this stuff. And it's a business. I don't want to get mired down and burnt out. I have so many chef friends who've left the industry because in this economy it's so hard unless you're part of a large restaurant group. So I don't want that. What I would love to do is have a really small 8 to 12 seat shop where we sell preserves and it's a tasting. So it's kind of what we do now, but in a stationary place that people know that they can come, and it's seasonal.